Hey gang, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. I'm continuing my series on taking these insane, epic, isolated vocal tracks. I'm doing a singing tutorial, a vocal analysis, talking about the instrumentation, the writing, the production, you name it, I'm doing it. Next up is Deep Purple, Burn. The singer is David Coverdale. Now, for you guys that know, David's one of my all-time favorite singers, and he really came all the way from way back in Deep Purple. I forget when this album released. It was like, was it Mark III? I think it was 1974. Check me out on that. It's a long time ago. But you're going to see, the evolution from David back in that day with songs like Mistreated, in this case, Burn, all the way up and through Whitesnake, and you guys may not know the early Whitesnake. You might know the 80s Whitesnake, but David's been around a long time and one of my favorite singers of all time. Now, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. That would be great. Coming up on a million million subs here. So if you guys can help me out and subscribe, it'll get me to the million mark. I'd really appreciate it. I'd be a million man, a millionaire man. Anyway, I also have a singing course. The course is called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else. You can find it right here at KenTamplinVocalAcademy.com, where I have a free singing forum over there also with about 25,000 people in there, right? All talking about how to get good at singing. Want to dive right into David. Now, Deep Purple was known for putting out some of the best singers in all of early rock history. And of course, we know Ian Gillan, we know David Coverdale, we know Glenn Hughes, we can go on. And then there was another incarnation of that, which is Rainbow, which Dio came out of, earlier Black Sabbath and Dio. And then we also had, Graham Bonnet, we had Gillian Turner. I mean, just incredible singers through that band. I don't want to go into all the details of this stuff now because I want to focus on David and Burn, but this era of music was just phenomenal. Guitar playing, keyboards, drums, bass, vocals, right? So here we go. David Coverdale, Burn, Richie Blackmore on guitar. Let's do it.
The sky is red, I don't understand. Past midnight, I still see the land. People are saying the woman is damned. She makes you burn with a wave of her hand.
Now, I remember in the Glenn Hughes part of Deep Purple, him doing, hey, that kind of real throaty thing, right? If you listen to this also, you'll notice that he's flat on this note. Let me show you something. You probably did or didn't know this, but let me point it out. You can see it's a blues thing, and maybe it is, but check it out.
The sky is red, I don't understand. Past midnight, I still see the land. People are saying the woman is damned. She makes you burn.
She woman is damn, she said. Right, he doesn't go, damn, he goes, damn. He's flat on the thing. But he's full throttling the voice all through this, okay? So understand that, even at this level, with this talent, you can get caught in the chords and caught with the larynx in a position where you can't get to those notes. And we see so many singers doing this. And especially like if you watch, I don't want to beat up on Brian Johnson, but if you watch Brian Johnson and AC/DC, after a while he gets so caught that he can't get any higher and there's no more threshold for notes beyond that. So let's listen to it one more time.
The sky is red, I don't understand. Past midnight, I still see the land. People are saying the woman is damned. She makes you burn with a wave of her hand.
So now when we compress the voice, and this is going to be more for you advanced singers out there, okay? The concept is to build open throat technique first, which I cover in my singing course, which is extremely important, all right? And what that is to train the vocal tract, your throat, to stay open so it doesn't pinch and squeeze in the throat so you get access to more range. That's the first thing. The second thing is I've said many, many times, and that's that the overuse of air, too much air coming out of your mouth, is the arch enemy to your vocal folds. It's literally like taking a flamethrower of air and going and drying out your vocal folds and making them raw, and maybe even to the point of getting a polyp or a node or a lesion or having, breaking a blood vessel like what happened to Adele and others. And so we need to be really careful of that. So what we do is we literally cut back the breath. Now, here's what happens when you cut back the breath, and I'm talking to you like this, right? Now, let me show you something. You might get a kick out of this, and I know we're going to talk about David, but I also said I was going to do vocal tutorial analysis, etc. Okay? Now, I'm gonna take a deep breath, and I'm gonna breathe from my abdomen. So I want you to watch my chest and watch my stomach. So I'm taking my breath, and you see my whole abdominal cavity fill up. That is true diaphragmatic and actually really abdominal breathing. This is what we want, especially to sustain this kind of, Hemi engine singing. Okay, it's an American muscle car from the 70s for you guys that don't know. Anyway, actually they make them still. But so I say that because I'm going to go like this first right now, and I'm going to demonstrate this. I'm going to take the breath. By the way, I didn't huff for my chest. My chest is already full, about half to 3/4 full of air, and I'm taking it from the abdomen. I go. Now what I'm going to do, if you notice, first I'm going to talk to you like this, and I'm going to just talk to you like, now I'm going to talk normal, where you won't even know, and I'm not taking a breath. I'm going to use that same breath. And what you don't know is I'm actually compressing the air. Now you may be able to hear it a little bit, but maybe not, and you wouldn't know unless I told you that I'm actually compressing this air. And as I'm doing this, I'm literally taking the same breath. I'm not taking in any more breaths, and I can literally talk to you for a really long time and show you how much air, how much I can sustain the note, etc., etc. And I could go on and on. Okay, so now I took a breath. All right, so the reason I bring it up is you go, well, how is it possible that these guys can sing these big, long notes? Man, they got a set of lungs. Well, actually, when they know how to compress this air, it's why they're able to hold those big, long notes. It's also how we're able to get to, dare I use the word, healthy distortion. Okay, healthy is a relative term because this is an extreme sport with your voice. Now, healthy meaning that we can do it and then come back later after we've sung distorted and warm up the voice clean so that we don't forever sentence ourselves to singing heavy, where every time we go to get a note, we have to strain and power up to get the note, okay? There's a lot to this, and I'm oversimplifying this, and I cover all of this in my singing course. So if you're really interested in this, please get the course. It'll walk you through all this stuff, and then you can go in the forums and ask people how it's going on or take a lesson or whatever. But anyway, so that's what's happening here, not to the extreme that I'd like, and David has struggled over the years. He's older, but he struggled over the years, just kind of street singing. But there were early interviews. You go back and look and check me out on this about David, how is his breath control. And Ronnie James Dio said the same thing, that once he figured out that his power, the engine that drives his car, the engine that drives his voice, all came from his abdomen. And it was like this aha moment that he was able to sustain this kind of singing for his entire career, okay? And he didn't get this part, the glottal compression part and the open throat technique part with the vocal track, but he did understand that, which was able to give him the ability to sustain this for a long time. So as we go through this, we're gonna listen to it again. I'm just trying to dissect this for you guys because I promised a tutorial for you singers out there. And if you wanna know how I've been able to do it all these years myself, it's by understanding the correct way to do this, all right? Here we go.
The sky is red, I don't understand. Past midnight, I still see the land.
So I wanna dissect. The sky is red, I don't understand. Past midnight, I still see the land, right? So everything's coming from here, okay? So let's get to it.
The sky is red, I don't understand. Past midnight, I still see the land. People are saying the woman is damned. She makes you burn with a wave of her hand.
So because he overcompressed in the throat, he wasn't able to get to the second note because he couldn't relax the throat. He became flat on this note.
People are saying the woman is damned. She makes you...
People are saying the woman is damned. She makes you burn. Right? So he wasn't able to get into that space because of that, all right? He didn't have the relaxation response that's required to relax between each phrase, to relax it enough to give him the ability to get back up into that space. Robert Plant was guilty of this. A lot of people, amazing singers, are guilty of this. But I'm telling you, there is a way to do this and to get that, get tons of range out of this by relaxing this whole throat mechanism, doing what I'm telling you, and not over singing, of overuse of air and having the abdominal cavity do all the work. So,
people are saying the woman is damned. She makes you burn with a wave of her hand.
now, he's kind of that. But that's, to me, that's more of a Glenn Hughesy kind of thing, that it sounded like he's kind of borrowed, or maybe just everyone kind of did it. I know both of those guys were heavily influenced by Sam and Dave and Wilson Pickett, and they even said that Sam and Dave were like some of their was it Sam? I forget, was it the guy that sang Distorted, but that was some of their biggest influence. So remember, this is back 74. Their influence was Motown. Right? Otis Redding, Wilson Pickett, all those early Motown guys that had a distorted sound, and they took it to a different rock level. So I think that's very interesting too. So if you get a chance, go back, listen to Mustang Sally, go back and listen to Sam and Dave, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Right? I love that.
The city's ablaze, stars on fire, the woman's flames are reaching higher.
Now, talked about open throat. Woman on fire, liar. All I need is right? So notice the open throatness of the woman of ah. She says a little ha, all I need, right? Listen to the ah vowels on those vowels, and that helps. What I've shared with you guys a lot, talking about that all vowel sounds stem from it's the la, ah, and other vowels are just slight variations off the ah vowel. And once you understand that, then you're not making big shifts in the throat or the vocal tract to get from one vowel to another that causes a lot of strain, a lot of fatigue, and a lot of pressure in the throat. Okay, listen to it again.
The city's ablaze, stars on fire, the woman's flames are reaching higher. We were fools, we call it liar.
Right?
All I hear.
And then that kind of, I mean, there was a lot of bands that used that. Bruce Dickinson, you know, like the big, thick vibrato, Ronnie James Dio, Night Rainbow, you know, big, thick, long, heavy vibratos, and we love it. It's really cool.
Is bad.
And you guys remember Uriah Heep, easy living, right? Easy living, 'cause I've been forgiven, right? Those big, thick, awesome rock vibratos, almost like Broadway theater vibratos, right? Really cool.
They didn't believe she was devil's sperm. She said, curse your war, you'll never learn. When I leave, there's no return. The people...
When I leave, there's no return. The people laugh when she said burn. Right?
Laughed till she said burn. Warning came, no one cared. Earth was shaking, we stood instead. When it came, none was spared. Still I hear.
Still I need, but right. Could you guys kind of hear Dio doing this? Now, I know that I think Ian Gillan kind of sang this a couple times too, and I think he stopped doing it because all three of them did it live later, even after leaving Deep Purple. And he didn't have the same kind of belty upper mid voice register. He had a lower register at the time. Like Child in Time stuff, right? But he didn't have the upper mid voice stuff, and you kind of hear in Highway Star how he doesn't really have that belted mid voice. He later, like in Perfect Strangers, yeah, I mean he had a different voice then. It was bigger, and he was doing less drugs and stuff. But in this case, he didn't have it. So these guys, Glenn Hughes, I think Glenn Hughes is. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Please tell me in the comments. I think he's doing the background vocals on the high parts, and then he does the bridge section. If I'm not mistaken, I'd have to listen back.
You know we had no time.
Now, I think this is Glenn, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like Glenn. It's definitely not David because he goes up higher. And that's what I mean about the release factor. So David was kind of always just singing at the top of his threshold of his range. And then Glenn's going up here in the chorus. Check it out.
You know we had no time. We could not even try. You know we had no time.
Cool. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that was Glenn, but...
You know we had no time.
Second time it happens.
We could not even try. You know we had no time.
By the way, I never noticed that phasing thing, so I don't know if that's something that happened in the vocal extraction to get the isolated vocals, or if there was a kind of a phase shifter on there. I don't remember that in the track, so it could be, but let's move on.
Sky is red, I don't understand. Past midnight, I still see the land. People are saying the woman is dead. She makes you burn with a wave of her hand.
Hey! I just love that. I've been singing all day. I think it's my 8th hour of singing today. I actually, I kid you not, no exaggeration. And Bob, my guy that helps me with uploading my videos, can confirm this. I think this is my 8th demonstration today, and I've been doing this since 9 o'clock this morning. It's like 4:30 in the afternoon. So I've been singing my begonias off all day, and so I'm even a little tired. I don't really ever get hoarse, but you can kind of hear like a yeah kind of sound in my voice right now from singing all kinds of different stuff all day long and giving one vocal lesson too on top of it. But anyway, so I'm a little spent, but I just love this sound, so I can't help myself but want to sing. Anyway, I just thought I would add that. Anyway, here we go.
Warning came, no one cared. Earth was shaking, we stood instead. When it came, no one was spared. Still I hear.
Love that. Okay, now what I want to do is I just want to show you, it's really interesting because the guitar lick and the way the drums are so funky. I'm surprised that David was able to carve out rhythmically and melodically the lines that he did. Now, I want to play it without the vocal first so that you can hear that, so you know what I'm talking about. But check this out. If I came to you with a song, and my name is Richie Blackmore, was it Ian Pace on drums? I forget who it is. I think it was Ian Pace. But if again, and then Lord on keys. And I came to you and I had this bit, and I went, bam, blah, 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 blah. You'd say, you know, Keith Moon would probably have a good time with this on drums, but as far as vocals, I don't think so. I don't know what to do with it. So when you listen to the vocal in that drum fill / holding down a couple guitar chords, it's pretty interesting that he was able to carve out this melody.
The sky is red, I don't understand. Past midnight, I still see the land. People are saying the woman is dead, so she makes you burn with a wave of her hand.
So now I can see, you know, the spot is, you know, sky is in, I don't understand. The past midnight, I still see land. People saying the woman is dead, she makes you burn with a wave of her hand. I can see that now. You know, right? It's pretty frenetic if you ask me to come up with a line like that. So it's pretty awesome that he did. Next line, here we go.
The city's ablaze, the stars on fire, the woman's flames are reaching higher. We were fools, we called a liar. All I hear is
Now, how strange it is that on is on the part that could have had some rhythm to it, or you know, some way to kind of sink your teeth into some actual rhythm, they chose to do a big long burn, you know, on a note, which is really interesting to me. Anyway, gang, this is so fascinating me for just to dissect all of these unbelievably epic, legendary songs, and you're just going, wow, how cool. I get to, it literally, guys, we're in a studio right now, right? My studio. And here's probably a similar mic to what they would have sung in back in the day, and similar pieces of gear. Now imagine you and me, we're sitting here, right? And David Coverdale is on that end of the glass in this microphone, and say I'm Richie Blackmore or something else, and we're just kind of sitting here and we're listening to him, and we want to do another take, and we want to do a different take, and you know, trying some different stuff. And you kind of get to be in the room, like with these tracks. I mean, do it again. Like, take a look at the glass and go, here's David Coverdale singing over the top of a track that's never been sung. He has no idea how epic and legendary this is going to become. And you get
cities ablaze, stars on fire, the woman's flames are reaching higher. We were fools, we called a liar. All I hear.
And then Richie says, yeah, right. That's about right. I think that's a take. Let's wrap it up. I think that's good, right? And they put it in. I mean, I don't know, because the Machine Head was like this too. But they put it in, and then this many years later, we're still oohing and awing over it, right? I just think that's the coolest thing. Anyway, gang, hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I do, and definitely check out my next video.